extreme weather and huge hailstorms in southern Kansas. Pieces as big as tennis balls broke windshields and caused other damage.
At a busy subway station in Manhattan, sending water onto the tracks. The flood disrupted service. 500 passengers had to be evacuated. Investigators say a utility crew may have struck a water main. The problem.
See some rotation in that. Oh, look, look there it is. It's building downward. It's getting. That means it's getting more intense rotation, so the pressure is dropping. We're about ready to see here a tornado.
Well, extreme weather and huge hailstorms in southern Kansas. Pieces as big as tennis balls broke windshields and caused other damage. Several tornadoes were also reported in the area yesterday. The severe weather will put a big area of the country on storm watch again today.
And finally, some New Yorkers may have a tough commute this morning after a water main flooded streets and a busy subway station in Manhattan, sending water onto the tracks. The flood disrupted service. 500 passengers had to be evacuated. Investigators say a utility crew may have struck a water main. The problem could interfere with the morning commute for thousands.
Radiation from the Fukushima nuclear disaster is now washing up on the shores of Canada's Vancouver Island. Low levels of radioactive isotopes identified with the Japanese power plant were discovered in February off Ucluelet, British Columbia, some 4,700 miles away. It's the first time radiation has been detected on land in North America since the 2011 nuclear plant meltdown. Scientists stress the levels of radioactive chemicals are not harmful. In November, the Canadian government detected airborne elements of radioactive pollutants in seawater vegetation further off the shores of British Columbia. I'm Matt Sampson, The Weather Channel.
The Totten Glacier in East Antarctica is thinning, and researchers think they know why. A study found a direct pathway to the ocean under the Totten Glacier that could allow warm water to reach the base of the ice. The cause? Glacial melt and higher sea levels. Nature Geoscience published findings from a marine science voyage that uncovered a trench, allowing the warm water to make a beeline for the glacier. Australian, American and British researchers used a plane fitted with radar, laser, a gravimeter and geometric sensors. Scientists say there's enough ice in the glacier to raise the global sea level by at least 3.5 metres. That could spell danger down the road. A melt could take centuries, but scientists say once it has started, it would probably be irreversible. I'm Kirsty McCabe, The Weather Channel.
You're going to look right now at that South Carolina jail, where Officer Michael Slager is behind bars this morning facing murder charges after this video emerged, captured by a witness at the scene.
Our Steve Osunsami has been on this story for ABC News. He is in Charleston now with the very latest. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, Lara. This story and the video behind it is causing outrage across the country. And the question everyone is asking this morning is, would we be here right now in front of this jail with a police officer in custody if it weren't for that cell phone video recorded by a bystander? This morning, police admit that this cell phone video obtained by ABC News led them to charge this North Charleston, South Carolina police officer with murder. Take a look for yourself. There's the patrolman Michael Slager on Saturday shooting 50-year-old Walter Lamar Scott in the back while Scott is running away.
As the result of that video and the bad decision made by our officer, he will be charged with murder.
Until the video came to light, police were saying the officer opened fire because he felt threatened and because Scott grabbed his stun gun.
323, dispatch, shots fired. Subject is down. He grabbed my taser.
But in the video, it's not clear who has control of the stun gun. We can only see that the stun gun cord is between the two men. It does appear from the video that Slager walks back and appears to drop something next to Scott, but it's not clear what. Overnight at a bail hearing, Slager was denied bond. He did not enter a plea. The incident began after a traffic stop for a broken taillight. Slager discovered Scott had an outstanding warrant for child support issues. That's when Scott fled to this nearby field where he was killed. Scott's family is devastated. 4 children lost their father. Another unarmed black man, they say, gunned down. The person who recorded this video kept it to himself for days, worried about sharing it with police. He's decided not to come forward at this point. The family, we hear, is planning a civil suit against police.
Iranian state media is reporting Iran has sent 2 warplanes to the Gulf of Aden, and that's a strip of water that lies between Yemen and Somalia. The news comes as Saudi Arabia continues to lead a campaign of airstrikes in Yemen to halt the advance of the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in that country. The reports came after comments from the Rear Admiral Khalidullah Saraya of the Iranian Navy. And that was cited by Iran's press TV. He said that 2 ships had set sail from the Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas on a mission to protect Iranian ships from piracy. He also said the Iranian ships will patrol the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea. Saudi Arabia and Arab allies have imposed an air and naval blockade on Yemen as part of their campaign to oust rebel fighters. Houthi militiamen in Yemen have taken control of most of that country and forced the president, Abu Mansur Hadi, to flee to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
Severe storms shifting to the east after hammering the center of the country, including a series of tornadoes touching down in Kansas. Let's get right to meteorologist Jennifer Gray. Jennifer, what are you seeing?
That's right. We had a total of 8 tornadoes yesterday, 6 of those in Kansas, and we are continuing to see the storms this morning. Then they could get nasty as we go through the afternoon. Already seeing storms from Chicago all the way down through Little Rock. In fact, already seeing delays in Chicago due to the weather, and there's actually a ground stop in Detroit. We have the ingredients coming together. We have very warm, moist air from the south colliding with that very dry air from the north, and that is going to be some of the ingredients are going to fuel some of these showers and storms throughout the afternoon. We also have the very warm air in place, 81 in Little Rock, 79 in St. Louis, and that much cooler air behind it. So we do have a heightened risk for severe weather. We're looking at the main threats being from Chicago all the way down through Little Rock, including Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, and we're also looking at the possibility of storms even in Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, Alabama. We're looking at large hail, damaging winds, and the possibility of isolated tornadoes.
KSN 12 News with breaking news.
And we're following some breaking news on weather and Traffic Watch 12. I'm in the Weather Center with meteorologist Sally Severson, where there's a closure on the highway 43 southbound because of that heavy rain, that high water. You can see on your screen right now, live in Port Washington, cars have been submerged underwater. And right now, southbound 43 has been closed, all the southbound lanes. And this is at County H. So if you are headed out to work right now, be cognizant of this area here that's closed because of that heavy rain that we received.
So clearly a drainage issue going on there, but we had very heavy rain overnight. If we could just quickly take a look at the Doppler 12 radar network. I'm just going to rotate through. This is a look at the rain beginning around 1:30 in the morning, and you can see Port Washington in the center of your screen, but take a look. Just non-stop rain and heavy rain overnight, especially in Port in that window of around 3:30 this morning. Very heavy rain coming into Port. Also, once again, as we get to about the 4 o'clock hour. So they have continued to look at very strong storms in the Port area, contributing to the heavy rain. Now, these are a look at the live pictures at this hour. You can see the 2 pickup trucks that are submerged. Now, we do have a look at a detour that you can take. The I-43 southbound lanes have been closed. So here is a look, highway closure. All southbound lanes at I-43 are closed at County H.
And if you get off of County H there, you can get right back on the highway as you drive a little bit forward. So there is a detour for you. This is 43 southbound. Exit at County H and then immediately re-enter 43 if you're headed in that direction. But right now, all southbound lanes at 43 South and County H are closed because of that high water.
We're seeing a little bit of a funnel developing
like a
there
funnel
along with that
cloud there,
lowering.
just left the center.
Yep, just a little bit of a funnel cloud dropping down there. And sometimes you'll see these little perturbations that drop down for a second, but they may not necessarily be a tornado forming, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But it looks to me as if I see some rotation in that. Oh, look, look there. It's building downward. It's getting, that means it's getting more intense rotation, so the pressure is dropping. We're about ready to see here a tornado. It's close enough to the ground now that I think we do have at least a brief tornado that we would sort of say touchdown. Interestingly, Carl, the funnel comes downward, so it looks as if the tornado rotation is coming down from the cloud, but really it's just the rotation increasing. That makes the pressure drop. That allows the cloud to come there. The funnel cloud is no longer a funnel when it gets down to the ground. We call that a tornado. I think we've had at least a brief tornado that has reached the ground. The wind circulation has reached the ground there, Carl.
Some of you may have heard thunder overnight as a round of storms rolled through. This is new video from Mount Pleasant in Racine County. That's where some tree branches fell into a house this morning. And just a few miles away in Racine, a lightning strike was reported. Video shows firefighters working on the roof of a home on Lincolnwood Drive. And it's going to be a very busy day and morning, all morning long. In the Weather Center, meteorologist Sally Severson starts our live team coverage. Sally.
That's right. I'm in early this morning with meteorologist Jeremy Nelson, and we continue to monitor thunderstorms. Overnight, not a warning. We had no watches, but very strong storms pivoting through southern Wisconsin with locally heavy rainfall and also some of that dangerous lightning. Now, the lightning still turned on. I've turned it off at this point, and you can see we do have some strong storms across northern Illinois at this hour. And as we get just a quick peek, we also have a couple of showers and thunder showers, diminishing some across southern Ozaukee, southern Washington, northern parts of Waukesha, and also northern Milwaukee County. So this is just to the south of Mequon and just to the east of Bayside. You'll get in on a little more action. But take a look at what's happening for us. You see how we've got the thunderstorms. I'm just going to pause the radar at this point. It's a little line of thunderstorms that continue to fire just to the north of this warm front. That's the key. The warm front right now centered over northern Illinois. For now, 38 at the airport, light rain, and our winds are east at 13 miles an hour. Storms off and on earlier this morning. They'll begin to taper off. We're going to watch the progress of that warm front and any potential for breaking sun this afternoon. If we stay cloudy and we stay cold, we really lower our chances for severe weather. Now, if we get storms, they will end rapidly for tonight.
tonight, lightning damages a plane, but no one on the plane knew it. That's what we're hearing tonight from a passenger who was on the long flight from Iceland to Denver. And check out the big gash in the front. 7 News reporter Mark Stewart is live at DIA. And Mark, everyone heard the pop, but they had no idea they were flying overseas with a hole in the plane.
And that hole very similar in size to this kickball, yet the plane was able to fly trouble-free all the way from Iceland back here to Colorado.
It's a big hole on a big plane.
This giant gash in the nose cone of this Iceland Air jet is what greeted passengers on Flight 671 when they landed in Denver.
It's amazing to see what the lightning can do.
Levi Garrett of the band The Bunny Gang is used to loud noises, yet the flight home from an overseas tour was different.
It was like a pop, just like a large pop.
About 90 seconds after takeoff, the 757 was hit by lightning.
It shook violently just for half a second. The blue color, that's what I can't forget. Outside of the windows, the whole plane was electric blue.
No panic, rather an awareness. Something significant just happened.
When it happened, no doubt, our drummer, we look up and he's doing that. He gave some to God.
Garrett says right away the pilot gave an all clear, the flight continuing on its transatlantic trek. Passengers unaware of the hole in the front of the plane.
It looks more dramatic than it really is.
Aviation expert Steve Cowell says there was little danger to those on board.
These planes are built for this kind of punishment.
As for Levi, he can't wait to travel again with his band, sharing experiences on stage and in the sky.
Together we hold strong.
Iceland Air sending us an email tonight stressing that protocol was followed and the jet has been taken out of service. Live at DIA tonight, Mark Stewart, 7 News.
Brad, a man opened fire inside a court in central Milan this morning, killing at least 2 people, including the Italian judge. The man was on trial for bankruptcy, according to police. At least 1 other person was wounded in the attack. Police say the complex was evacuated and sealed off as police search for this gunman. Well, there are reports at this hour that he has been captured in a nearby city. It is not immediately clear how he was able to carry a gun into the court building and past metal detectors.